The negative experiences I had in high school mainly revolved around the jocks. I came out when I was a junior in high school as a lesbian, but I've always been that boyish girl. I know in gym class, a lot of the guys would get frustrated and just like start calling me a dyke or something, you know. And I also had a lot of gay guy friends, and I remember one time we were all playing ultimate frisbee or something stupid like that, and there was myself, one of my closest gay guy friends, and one of my friends who is now actually transgendering from female to male. We were all on the same team, and I remember hearing somebody yell, like, "What's with a bunch of faggots? They're totally kicking our ass."
My negative experiences were, there was one person who came out, and he was the only person who came out in my high school, and he immediately became a target. Everybody talked about him, and I think that made it very uncomfortable for anybody else to put themselves in that position, and especially for myself, and especially people who weren't really comfortable with coming out. It was like people were seeing what life they could be living.
I remember one time in high school that there was a gay individual, and he came out, what was it, sophomore year, and for about 3 weeks no one would talk to him just because they didn't understand, or I don't know if they didn't understand or if they just didn't like him. But I remember watching that happening, and that was before I had come out, and I was sitting there thinking, well, why is this, like, why should they treat him so mean just because he's different? And I think that was one of the biggest things that I saw in high school.
The majority of the negative experiences I had in high school were more from an observer point of view, with my best friend who is gay, him being picked out by the wrestling team, not so much the football team, but more the wrestling team, who would, during dances, during prom, go up and purposely party boy him, and he'd try to shove them off, and they'd say, well, don't you like it?
A negative experience I had in high school is I grew up in a very conservative area. And our high school had a large population, but the large population was very closed-minded and didn't really accept people for their differences, only for how they fit into a structure. And what I heard a lot was, oh, that kid's a faggot, or that kid's a queer, or she's a dyke, and you don't realize what those words mean to people that are gay or lesbian or bisexual or transgender. But
the hardest thing about high school was trying to get other people to wrap their head around the fact that I was a lesbian, I guess. I mean, I come from, you know, West Coast city, pretty closed off from the rest of the world, but still a lot of the West Coast values, and like, you know, from California, that, you know, they're okay with their gays, but where I was, even though it had the same kind of mentality, it was still, people were just like, well, why do you like girls, like, what's wrong with guys? And I had to explain over and over again that there's nothing wrong with guys, it's just I'm not attracted to them, it's not how my brain thinks. I think educating other people was the hardest thing in high school. The other hard thing about high school was the relationship between my parents and myself after I came out. Like, my parents didn't disown me, but my mom was always like, oh, hey, look at that guy, he's cute. Or I have a really good guy friend who love him to death, and if I were straight, I would probably be married and have like 5 babies at this point. But my mom would always be like, well, why don't you and Nathan go out and go do something, you know, he's single, and would always kind of push me towards men. And I don't know how many times I ended up telling my mom, I like girls, and I've liked them since the 3rd grade. It's not going to change because you say I should date this person.
The hardest thing about high school, I didn't come out in high school because of this person and what I saw that my life could become in my high school. And, you know, in high school, your life is your life. And, your entire life revolves around your high school. And so I didn't come out in high school because of this target that everybody was focused on. And so I guess that made it really hard because I knew it was a part of me, and especially because I'm an artist. I'm very open about who I am and what I believe, and it was kind of ironic that I'm a very anti-fear, just be truthful type of artist, and that's kind of the message I'm portraying. And that was the one thing that I couldn't be brave enough. So I was kind of being a hypocritical artist. So that was kind of, I think, the hardest thing for me personally.
I went to an all-guys high school, and so there was a lot of homophobia. Like, for example, if you did something that someone didn't agree with, you were a fag or you were a fairy. So I heard a lot of derogatory terms on a daily basis, and it was just a very negative homophobic atmosphere, just because that's the way that they express themselves.
The hardest thing about high school was just getting through it without taking too much of it to heart, I guess. Getting through it and remembering that it was just high school, that it was not all of my life or the end of my life or even, the best part of my life. It was just high school, and I really had a tough time with that because there were a lot of times where it seemed like whatever bad thing was happening this week was the worst thing that was ever going to happen to me.
The hardest thing about high school is I think that people are trying to find out who they are, and they also have other people telling them who they are, when really you are who you are. You don't have to have other people tell you.
There are so many things that you have to look forward to after high school. I mean, just to name a few, like if I were to tell my high school self, I would tell them that the relationship between your parents is going to be phenomenal. I mean, because I came out, like I said, as a junior in high school, had a rough patch with my parents, went to college, and then I ended up becoming the co-president of the Gay Straight Alliance on campus. And it finally hit for my mom that, hey, my daughter is a lesbian. And she accepted it. Like, it took her a while, but she accepted it. And then she started helping me with the club, like, would help me plan events. Like, even though she was several thousand miles away in a completely different state, she did what she could to help me. She's in marketing, and so she would give me ideas on how to make everything, easier for me to do, less time and all that kind of stuff. So I would definitely say that the relationship between my mother is definitely worth the wait, and stick in there with her.
I guess what I'd have to tell myself to look forward to is that nobody's going to judge you ultimately. I've never had an experience with that.
I would say to just be honest with yourself and just be honest with everyone, because I went through most of high school knowing that I wasn't straight, but I kept suppressing it just because I was afraid of what everyone else would think. And so I would say just be honest to yourself, because you're going to find a group of friends who like you for you, and anyone else who looks down on you, they don't matter. They're not important if they're willing to let one thing get in the way of being friends with you for who you are.
The other thing I would tell my high school self is that high school is high school. It is 4 years of a very, very long life. It's really not that important. I know a lot of people think that, oh my God, you're never going to have so much fun as you do in high school. And that's not true. I mean, you go to college, and even if you don't go to college, I mean, there are so many things after high school that you have to look forward to. Like, you have, owning your first pet, getting your first apartment, meeting new people, because the people you meet in high school, chances are you're not going to know them for the rest of your life. Like, they're all going to go to their different places, and if you're a true friend, then you'll stay in touch. But I knew almost every single person in my high school, and I maybe talked to 4.
My high school self, I would say, there's more than the small town. There's more outside. There's more open-minded people. Even in a state like South Dakota, there's so much variety, and there's always someone out there that will accept you, whether or not you think they will. Just keep searching and you'll find someone.
If I could tell my high school self something that they had to look forward to, I would just tell them that they had to look forward to life after high school. I mean, like I said, it was really tough to think about life beyond high school, and so thinking that there was going to be a day where I was going to be in college and have people who knew the real me and accepted the real me was really hard to consider. And so the fact that I am in college and there are people who know me and accept me and still tolerate me / love me just the same, it's definitely something worth waiting for.
What I would say to my high school self would be that what people think of you now doesn't matter. Your high school drama doesn't matter. Like, if someone says, oh, that person is this or that person is that, well, that person may be those things, but it doesn't matter what other people think of you. And that it really does get better if you're gay, straight, bisexual, whatever you see yourself as. It does get better, and high school doesn't matter. Outside of high school is what matters.
Life gets better after high school because you're not dealing with high school drama. When you're in high school, it feels like the littlest thing that goes wrong is the end of the world, which isn't obviously the case. You have so much to look forward to once you graduate. Falling in love for the first time, and even your first heartbreak. Like, I know it sounds kind of sadistic, but really, that realization that you can feel that much for a person, it's a phenomenal feeling. Granted, feeling in love is way better, but and you're gonna meet people that will change your life. And I know it gets better for me because I found the GSA at my campus, the Gay Straight Alliance at my campus. I found a group of people who were out, if not more out than myself, and I'm pretty out. I mean, everybody who knows me pretty much knows that I'm gay. And I mean, I found a good group of people in college, and it made all the difference. It made being gay in South Dakota a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
How it gets better? I think it gets better in every way because I got all these friends now that support me, and that was definitely one of the things that definitely got better. Was I was hiding it from people that I really shouldn't have before, and I thought it was going to be such a huge issue with everybody. I thought that the world was, the second I told somebody, it was like everything was going to come crashing down, and it really didn't. It was the complete opposite. I got new friends. I had tons of support. People were very proud that I came out, and they knew how difficult it can be. But I had no negative experiences whatsoever once I came out.
You meet people that accept you for who you are. You can even meet people that love you for everything about you. Your curves, your faults, your everything. There's nothing about you that someone isn't going to love at some point in your future. And don't worry about what people perceive you as. You are who you are, and if you realize that now, your life will be so much easier, and it will get better at an earlier age or an earlier time in your life if you just don't worry about what other people think and live your life for who you want to be, not what people see you as or what you want people to see you as.
How does it get better? You stop feeling like you're living in secrecy, or you stop feeling like everyone's against you because you find a community of people who accept you and love you for who you are, and you find a community of people that you can go to when you're having a hard time, or that will be there if you have a problem.
It gets better because there are ways of just finding people, and if you don't find them, they will find you. Sometimes it just takes being pushed out the door one time, and then you have your best friend for the rest of your life. Or just going to coffee that one time, or out to eat, sitting down watching a movie, and just talking. And that's enough to have that one person to be there for you forever.
It sounds really dumb, but it really does just get better because life goes on. But it does get better. You find people who love you. You find people who laugh with you and celebrate your differences and celebrate their differences and even some of your similarities, which is nice. It just gets better.